Hello. Two things. Yes, the fans are up and running. Cyberpunk's on because I need it to heat up so I can actually show you these. And the other thing is, yes, plastic is still here because I'm literally just trying this, and if I like it, I'll keep it, I'll take this off. If I don't, it'll go back and it'll look like it's brand new, and it makes life easier. That's the reason why I do that before people ask. Just a quick look, because people have already seen this. It's been out for a long time. The LED is actually on the blade, so this is why you need them to spin for you can actually have this. There's a lot of different ones you can pick. It is really good. It looks quite nice. The different things you can do with it. Obviously you've got them there you can change. There's a bit on there, there's one on the back, and then you have the display screen on here which you can put your own GIFs, or you can have just running through the different settings, obviously temps and things like that as well. It's one of the lighter cards. It's really quite light, even though it is really chunky. It's not. It's mostly down to the whole plastic side to it, rather than like the Strix, which has got a lot of metal in it, and that's probably the heaviest card. What are the things? It's got the dual BIOS. It's got silent and the overclock. I'll probably put it to the silent because this cooler is excellent. It does a really good job, and the memory is really good as well. The Strix is still king. That's a lot of it's down to its size, and it's got good fans on it. But after that, I would say it's probably this one. It does a really good job. And one of the main things, this is Cyberpunk maxed out. You probably can't hear because of the fans, but it's really hard to hear any call whine, even from where I'm sat. And once the case side goes on, there's nothing. Call whine, I would say probably the best cards for doing without call whine is either this one or the Zotac. I think maybe this one is slightly better, and then I would say there was a Zotac one, and then the Gigabyte gaming, and then obviously you have the big powerful ones like the Supreme X and the Strix OC. Fantastic cards, but my god, the call whine was bad on them. So yeah. Fans, these are probably spinning without looking at the screen. I'm guessing these are probably spinning at about 1800. When these are running anything below, say, 1500, they're just as good and as quiet as what the Strix and the Supreme ones are. Really good. The only downside with this card, which is why I'm probably going to go to silent, is that when it goes from 0 to turning on, it goes too high. Now on the OC, it'll jump from 0 to 1400 and then calm down a little bit when it realizes what the temperature is. Or if it's Cyberpunk, it'll probably stay there. Now, in my case, and because of how often it happens, because the cooling is so good, in some games it doesn't even bother coming on, I don't really mind it. But if you put it onto silent, I think it goes from 0 to 1200, which means that you can't really hear it. So, and you don't lose any kind of performance or anything. It's just the little temps go a little bit higher. But considering this card, when I'm playing Cyberpunk and stuff like that, the memory stays in the 60s and the GPU stays in the 60s. So whatever they've done internally, they've done a good job with it. But so one of the more impressive things is the fact that I really have to struggle to try and hear any kind of call whine on it. So yeah, it looks nice. It's not too heavy. With the Gigabyte cards, I know that there's been people saying about the PCB cracking down the bottom on some of them, but a lot of those cards were in pre-built machines, and pre-built machines don't really get much care and attention, so I dare say that's probably one of the main causes of the reason why so many have cracked. But also, with any of these 4090s, I prefer them to have them this way, so there's nowhere near the same kind of stress put on the PCB. It's literally just straight down, and obviously clipped on at the back there with screws. So to me, if you're worried about anything like that with any of these cards, especially with the Strix, it's such a heavy card, vertical mount. But yeah, at this moment in time, and I really like this card. Now when I say that, I dare say probably within the next 48 hours it's going to blow up or set fire or do something to make me regret saying that, but it looks good. Specs wise, it does everything. I just decided to give it a quick go with the overclocking thing just to see how that goes, because I normally just run at stock, but I thought hell, I'll just see what it's like. And the overclocking went to 140 I think on the core, and I think it did 1200 on the memory. Ran fine. Temps still better than most of the 4090s out there, and can't really think of anything else. There is one downside to this though, and that is the Gigabyte software. At the moment it's okay, but I did have problems installing certain things and getting certain things to work well, and there was some it's hard to explain it, but I did run into some issues where I had to remove certain drivers and things of previous things, and it didn't like anything else on the machine. So that was a bit of a problem. But anybody who knows Gigabyte and knows the control center they use and RGB Fusion know that it's probably one of the worst that there is out there. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, it's a bit of a nightmare. At this moment in time, it works, so I'm happy. But it's one of these things that once it works, just leave it alone and just don't touch it. But yeah, so yeah, like I say, there's bigger and more in-depth reviews out there, but I'm killing time until I find out what happens with the Supreme. Even if it does get fixed, I don't know whether it's going to be actually repaired or replaced or whatever, but I might end up keeping this one and either selling that one or whatever is going to happen with that one, because I'm quite taken by this. Anyway, I'm just rambling. Bye.